Hello, sweet veggies! Today we are gonna talk about a question that pops quite often within the artist community, which is why does my sketch look better than my line art? And well, I have been thinking about this because, as you know, I really want to help my community as best as I can with whatever advice I feel like I can give. And why do I feel like I can give this advice? Because I've been there. I've been in that thinking, like my mind has been there. Just why does my sketch look so much better than my line art? And I thought this for such a long time, and I couldn't really figure it out. So I experimented stuff like doing a lineless art style. I experimenting just doing a refined sketch and absolutely no line art. But it kind of worked for me, but not really. Like, I like the styles, like they are pretty, that's not the problem, but the thing is, I want line art in my drawings. I like seeing line art in people's drawings, and I want to see it in mine because I want to have a simple style with line art. And line art works for digital media, it works for traditional media. I feel like line art really works for me when I'm using watercolors, which is important to me because I love watercolors and working with them. So, yeah, how did I finally realize why did that my, why didn't my sketch look no why didn't my line art looked as good as my sketch? And that's actually a very simple answer. Because I did my line art like I did my sketch. Like, I used the exact same approach. And that's wrong. Sketch is different from line art. It has different names, so obviously it's different. It's not the same, and you should not use the same approach because, again, they are not the same. When you're doing the sketch, you're figuring out the composition, the pose of the character if you're doing that, or if you're doing a landscape, you're figuring out how you want the foreground, the background, everything that ends with a ground, and you're just figuring out all that stuff. And so you should not approach line art the same way because you already know where everything is. So just going over the sketch to like clean it up, and like that's not line art, that's just another sketch layer because you are refining the sketch, not doing line art. Line art has to do with line variation, like that's the main thing about line art. As you can see on the screen, what I'm precisely doing, like what you're watching is me precisely adding line variation to my line art because that's what line art is. It's line variation. Like if you do some intense perspective. The things that are far further away will have thin lines, while the things that are closer to the viewer's eyes will have like thicker lines. And that is what line art is. If you don't want to use line art and only a refined sketch layer, you can do it. But it's not line art. Don't call it line art because it's not line art. And it took me so long to figure it out this. Like, my line art was just going over the sketch. It was just it. So, it wasn't line art. I did the sketch in pencil. I'm going to use traditional art to explain this because I think it's simpler and it's easier to understand. Like, I just did everything with a pencil and then I just went over it with a pen. It wasn't real line art, it was just a refined sketch layer with a pen. And finally, instead of avoiding the problem, because that was really what I was doing for a long time, like I did not ever search on the internet how to improve your line art, because I thought the problem was with me, that my hand wasn't stable enough. Like, I honestly thought that the problem was with me, not my line art. So I never sought help because I thought the problem was with me. And I finally learned that it isn't. So I'm spreading that information because your line art is supposed to look better than your sketch. And if you're doing line art and not a refined sketch layer, I will guarantee you it will look better. You just have to do line variation, really. And if you want to know more about how to improve your line art, I've made a video on it, but my line art has, I've only started doing good line art 2 months ago. It's not that long. It's a very short time in an artist's perspective. So if you want a more professional advice, like advice of someone who has been doing line art for years, just search it on YouTube. Just go for it, search it on Google, look for classes on Skillshare if you have the money for that, which I don't. Just use the resources you have available to you. I do think the video I made is enough to understand what it comes, what line art is about. I even think I have explained it quite well in this video, but if you don't want to take my word for it, at least now you know. The problem is not you. The problem is not you. You just don't know enough about line art. So use whatever videos you want, because you can improve yourself. You can improve your art style, and you can improve your art, and you will, okay? You will. So yeah, that's basically this. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for my videos. like this video so YouTube understands that you like my video and you want to see more like this. Comment if you want me to talk about something specific. I don't know, just thank you for watching and don't forget to eat your vegetables.